Hi everyone, this is Freddie with Superbike Unlimited, and we're back at it again with another update for the 450 SMR Supermoto project. What we're going to be doing this round, we have a handful of nice upgrades coming through, and first and foremost what we're going to be doing is testing different intake options. So we're going to go ahead and you can see the bike's already ready to get some stuff put on. We have, this is the intake that we used that has our second injector integrated, of course, and then this is the version that I think is going to be the standard. And you can basically see the main difference here is that it's longer and that the second injector has been moved further away from the throttle body. And then this is another version, more or less splits the difference between them and some other subtle changes. But we're just going to be testing all of these and basically finding out which one is the best. And once we determine that, we're going to put it into production. And we'll be able to offer it to you guys for sale if you want to buy one for your bike. So that's what we're going to start with today. Of course, right now we are using this K&N filter. This is just a universal, I think it's part number RU2790 or something like that. And we have a special filter coming from a partner of ours. We'll go into that a little bit later, but we have a manufacturer that's actually making us a custom filter specifically for these that'll be rated up to something like 90 horsepower and will suit the needs of this a bit better. You can see we have some, you know, it gets kind of crushed in there. Not badly. I mean, that's really not bad. But this one being longer, we're going to have more clearance issues. It's still going to work, but it's going to be a bit more snug than we'd prefer. So we are going to get a really nice custom filter made. And I think, honestly, it's going to make a little more power. And I don't want to say anything else. We do have some other stuff coming. We have a handful of items, some braking things, some other odds and ends that are just going to make the bike work a little bit better and that are just going to be trick. Another thing I wanted to say, we got this Supermoto swing arm put on. I went ahead and wrapped this thing last night in basically a clear bra type of material. And I think that's going to be good because, frankly, crashing is part of Supermoto. And this ought to help keep it from getting peppered up if that ever happens. I go sailing through the gravel traps or whatever. This ought to keep it, for the most part, nice and shiny. And it actually added a kind of a nice gloss finish to it. This swing arm took the material really well and came out pretty nice. So cool. Well, we're going to go ahead and start mocking up this other one. We will have to run a different fuel line. I've got that here. This is, and this length will probably work. This is actually the last I have in this, which is 1/4 inch inner diameter. But if this is not going to be adequate, we'll just go buy another, length of this stuff. I have some 5/8, but it's so tight in there, I don't think it's going to work. So we'll use this, and going to have to make a new harness for our second injector, which is here. We've got some fresh connectors and some wiring. So we've got everything we need to do this as properly as possible and try to make some more power. All right, so we've got these parts laid out here to make this loom, and basically what we're going to do is just connect both of these wires to these pins here, these terminals, and that's going to go in here. That connects to the injector, and then we're just going to use these pins or terminals to connect to the main connector on the AIM ECU harness. So there's the connector on this is actually currently on the motorcycle. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We got our strippers here. We're going to strip this stuff out. And since I'm just doing this alone, I'm not going to film this process. Not that interesting anyway, but this is really all you need to do this correctly. And then what I'm going to do is take some heat shrink tubing and shrink it up and make it, nice and safe and waterproof. So that's coming up. Okay, here we see this is our new harness here. This is going to go to the connector. The injector, and then this is the main connector that comes off of the AIM ECU. And you can basically see I've just run kind of like a boot on there, and of course this is shrink tubing. So this ought to keep it nice and secure, and just in general protects the wire from wear. And this is a weatherproof connector as it is. You can see the little boots in there, so don't have to worry about booting that one up. This one I like to do that. All right, so now we're going to pop the intake in and just check everything. This is longer than it needs to be, really, but I can always shorten it, and I just didn't really know how much we're going to need. So we'll see how that looks once we get it all mocked up. All right, now you can see how this is all mocked up. Obviously, this is our injector up here, and we need to run our fuel line from here down to here. So looks like we're going to be cutting it a little close, but we should be okay. And like I said, if not, we'll just get some more stuff. Got some extra wire up here. This is from that sub harness. We're going to shorten that at some point, so just going to test this for now, and if everything's good and we like this version, this gives us the freedom to move that injector around and not have to redo the loom every time. So once we finalize everything, we'll probably pull a good 6 inches plus out of that. But yeah, this will work fine for now, and I'm not concerned. This is perfectly rideable. It just looks kind of messy. I'll probably put some zip ties or something in there just to keep all that stuff from banging around. All right, we've got this thing all put into place. You can see the fuel line run around. This is basically the way that makes the most sense at the present time. So we're just gonna put our crimp on hose clamp on here, and that's it. Now we just got to put everything back together. We did take off the engine mount slash exhaust mount to have access to everything, and now we can start buttoning it back up and do some testing. Alrighty, so that is a wrap with this version of the intake, and you can see everything's pretty much ready to go. This bike's put back together, so all we need to do is pop the side cover back on. It does look super cool like that. I think it's kind of a shame in some ways that it gets hidden, but yeah, so we're going to be testing this shortly. Still some other components coming in. I don't think one of them is probably going to be arriving later on today. The other is going to be it's still in production, so we still have some other updates. Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, we're going to be doing some testing and some dyno pulls to see what kind of power this thing makes. Okay, so moving on from our power upgrades, we're going to be putting this in the dyno in a minute, but one of our components showed up today. I alluded that we were going to be doing some hard part upgrades, and I'm excited to show you this one. It's a part that we've seen in the motocross world, and for some reason I haven't seen it on a lot of Supermotos. And it might be that there's not a big gain here. However, I think that it is going to be a big improvement, and I'm curious to see. I suspect it will weigh less as well. So we're going to get right to it. This is from Brembo, of course, a brand that we know and trust and have been using for years. Of course, the supplier of brakes on our V4R, and it goes without saying, Brembo is an industry standard. So what they have for this bike is for the rear. This is a really cool rear caliper kit and bracket that is comprised of a single Brembo. This is a monoblock component, so this is just a solid chunk of billet right here, and it comes with a brand new CNC beautifully anodized black aluminum bracket. So you know, this is just something I saw, and I frankly just thought it looked super cool, and I'm like, I gotta get one of these on the bike. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how much it weighs, and we'll compare it to the original one. I do see it has a little extra tab on here. This guy right here. This is something that's not on the original. So, you know, we can cut that off. I don't know. I think I'm probably going to leave it for now. We might cut it off because I am kind of crazy about weight. But anyway, I saw this thing in the Brembo fitment information for the 450 SXF, and I'm like, I really like that. I think I'm going to have to get that. So all right, let's figure out how much it weighs, and hopefully we lose some weight by putting this thing on and I don't feel guilty for spending a bunch of money on something. So this unit with pads, 793 grams. So that's basically ready to install, no fluid. So that'll be a good reference. Now we're getting 795. 794. We'll split the difference. 794. We're going to go with 794. All right, so 794 grams. I'm going to go ahead and pop the other one off and see how much it weighs. Okay, so here's the stalker, and we come in at 785. So unfortunately, this does not weigh less, but it's negligible, and it certainly looks cooler, so we're putting it on. And I think if we cut this is actually a brake discard mount. I think if we cut that off, we might actually could get where we need to be. So that's something we may look into. We'll see. All right, while we're at it, what I'm going to go ahead and do is, this is the original banjo bolt slash bleeder, 20 grams. We have these aluminum ones that I always use on these type of things, and as you can see, that drops 11 grams. So that'll be a nice way to make up that weight delta. And obviously, you know, from a logical perspective, if we use this with the stalker one, you know, the weight's right back. But what we are doing, I've got this thing mocked up. There's a lot of stuff on here we don't need. And it's all related to discard. There's also pull that back off, these two tabs down here, and this guy. I think we're just going to cut those off. It's a shame to do something like that to such a nice piece, but we don't need it, and this is about function, and you'll never see it. We'll refinish it after we do that, but I think after we do that, we're gonna have an overall weight reduction, and you know, we just don't need that stuff, so there's no need for it on there. Alrighty, so we're moving on, and we've got some more progress today. We have actually just gotten our new collector in from DVR, and I want to make a note and say that this is actually good news for somebody out there, because if you're looking for one of these systems, we're going to sell basically a brand new system with a very lightly used collector at a discounted price. So if you want one of these, you know, keep your eyes peeled, because we're going to sell one at a smoking deal. But anyway, this is an updated version. We ordered it specifically because we wanted a Lambda bung so that we can integrate the Lambda for our, well, now I can't remember the name of it, but the AIM device that's a Lambda controller. This little guy right here, LCU-One. There we go. So we're going to do that just so we can constantly log Lambda data along with all of our other ECU channels. It's a really useful tuning tool. We can precisely match up what our Lambda is at an exact throttle percentage, and it's just a really good piece of information to have. It'll enable me to use data to tune the motorcycle. And so basically what we've done, oh, and another thing that Tex is working on over here is we noticed that we were having some stuff that was getting quite hot on the pipe there, which we did have it heat shielded, but we've decided to reroute it behind this clutch line to try to better protect it. And you think that'll probably take care of it?
It'll help out for sure. And it was just kind of running here beside it before, but we're of course going to put some more of this on there.
Yeah, we've got this cool stuff which is really effective at protecting it from heat. We run the same thing on this bike that has a tremendous amount of heat in certain areas. You can kind of see it tucked away down there. There's stuff running right by exhaust pipes that are super hot. So it's a helpful product to help us keep stuff from melting, which is what we were probably going to start experiencing here. All right, here you can see our Lambda sensor right into the main collector, and then of course that routes under here. This is our controller, and what Tex has done is he basically just used a ring terminal to run this to our ground right here, and then our power comes off of this relay here. Okay, that one. Okay, there we go. Yeah, oh, that's it. Yeah. So this is, and you'll see we have an open one. This is because we do still at some point plan to run lights on this thing and make it street legal, in case we do want to rip it at, you know, your local Kirby Road or whatever. But so this is going to be reserved for future power, and this is a switched power. So now we're just going to show you how it works. Essentially, this thing has a heater, so the Lambda sensor actually has to heat up before it starts recording. So we'll go ahead and fire the bike up. Here we can see our Lambda values. And frankly, that's a little on the lean side. We'll probably add some fuel there, but you can see as we start to add some load, today we are at VIR's Supermoto / kart track doing some testing, and yeah, it's really hot. I wish you guys could see that. I don't think it's showing up on there because of the yeah, it looks crazy. That says 105 degrees. That's really hot, especially I'm not used to that. So but anyway, yeah, we're out here testing, working on I changed my fork settings back from the other stuff, and we are working on just chassis setup and just trying to have some fun with the second injector. This track is really crazy compared to CMP because it's a lot less flowy, and it's a lot more kind of just working the motorcycle. There's a lot of elevation change, there's curbing that you're going over, and it's a cool track, but it's totally different from CMP, which feels more like a road race track. This is like a very sort of like you know, flick your bike around, hard on the brakes, hard on the gas type of facility. And yeah, we've had an interesting day. The bike actually stalled out earlier briefly, and I had to roll it off the track, but now we're good. We've done a few more sessions. Times are starting to come down. My tire is shagged, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and pop on a K2, which I've never tried. And I'm really sorry. I know you guys have said this before. I forgot my mount for my helmet camera, so I don't have any onboard footage, which really sucks because it's kind of neat seeing all the crazy elevation and doing the wheelies and stuff. But hopefully we got Justin's here with us, and he's going to do some footage from the side of the track. So hopefully we can get some cool, at least off-track footage. So we'll do some more laps and see how things go. right, so we're back from VIR and back in the shop. Hopefully you can hear me okay. It's really coming down outside. We got a metal roof, so. But anyway, yeah, we had a really nice time on this thing. Honestly, it was great to have Justin there helping and turning laps. It was a really cool atmosphere. Everybody was really friendly, and there were some fast people there, and it was just a good event. And fortunately, I'm going to show you guys, we did find some GoPro mounts, and we do have some onboard footage, so that's going to be coming up after this. We'll end the video on a high note instead of me just running my mouth. But yeah, everything went really well. I'm really happy with the overall performance of this thing. I think next time we go, probably run slightly different gearing, and I think it'll be worth some time. But I had a really nice time. It was a lot of fun. Definitely excited to get one other major component that we're actually designing and manufacturing for this bike that I think is really going to help in terms of lap time. So I'm not going to say much until that all gets here, but there's going to be some cool stuff coming. Also, I just want to point out, obviously I got some time on this thing, this new brake. I actually really felt there was a tangible improvement in feel and control over the rear brake. I know that sounds silly, and I think the stock one was pretty good, but it just felt like I had a better connection with the rear brake. So for whatever it's worth, I actually think that is a worthy upgrade, other than the fact that it's just cool, and I honestly bought it just because I thought it looked really trick. But now, after having used it, it feels really nice. So something I can say for me was an improvement. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this one. We've kind of covered everything. I hope you guys enjoy the footage that's coming up next. So once again, thanks for watching these videos. It's been really cool meeting some of you guys at the track and otherwise that are enjoying this stuff. I know Supermoto is not as popular as it once was, but we love it. I'm honestly crazy passionate about it. So thank you guys for being involved by watching this stuff and caring about what we're doing. So once again, we'll see you next time, and got some really cool stuff coming soon. So we'll see you then.